Hello, comic geeks. This is the officially unofficial geek channel weekly comic roundup spoiler-tastic review of Harley Quinn number 6. Look at that lovely, lovely, lovely comic. So here we are. This is the weekly comic roundup spoiler-tastic comic spotlight show. We did 3 of these this week. This is the 3rd one. Check out my other spoiler-tastic comic spotlight of Robin number 5 and my spoiler-tastic comic spotlight King Spawn number 1. They're also up here on the channel, so you can check those out as well as my weekly comic roundup video where I discuss all the other comics that I read this week in a spoiler light format. So here we do at the weekly comic roundup spoiler-tastic comic spotlight. Here we take the plastic off the comic, we get down and dirty, we get all up in this shit and show you what we loved about Harley Quinn number 6. I went ahead and put my glasses on. I apologize for the glare. It was just a little bit harder to read things without my glasses. So here they are. Got some glare, got some weirdness, but you know, whatever. So one of the reasons that this comic really struck me this month, and this week in particular, I am admittedly a huge Harley Quinn fan. And I am also admittedly a huge Catwoman fan. So when you pair both Catwoman and Harley Quinn in one issue, I'm going to go absolutely bonkers for it. And that's just all there is to it. There's more to it. There is more to it. And what's really great is you have Harley. There's a really great format that seems to be working with Harley Quinn comics, where you have a narration that is Harley Quinn talking. The narration comes from her, and it's kind of a little like it's complementary to everything that's happening. It's not one of these things where all you get is narration. There's other comics out there that have been like that a lot recently, where you get a narration and no other kind of things for like a while. But the thing is you get this narration with Harley, and it's really cool how it ties in to not only the story as it happens, but also to information, and it clues in to things that you already know about Harley Quinn. You already know, more than likely, that Harley Quinn is an anti-hero that's trying to become, she's a bad guy trying to become a hero, trying to do what's right. You know probably that she has a PhD. She was, before she was Harley Quinn, she was Dr. Harleen Quinzel. You know that this is not information, this is not knowledge, this is not an experience that she's just kind of thrown away by becoming Harley Quinn. And you see that actually in these books, and it's really cool to see that anti-hero. It can be compared to very Deadpool-esque. That's really funny. I just said Deadpool-esque. Yeah, whatever. It happened. Deadpool-esque anti-hero with, and it's this hero, edgy hero, but she is still everything that makes her up. It makes Harley Quinn, makes Harleen Quinzel, Dr. Harley Quinn. It's really funny because there's an issue, a few issues back, where she runs into one of these people that has escaped Arkham, and she knew him when she was actually a resident in Arkham, and she's like, wait, and he's like kind of violent and everything like that, and he's doing some bad things, and she's like, you know what, I know you're actually like really sweet when you're on your meds. You're not on your meds right now, so you're all like whatever. And she gets in kind of a tussle, and she gets rescued by Ghostmaker out of that situation, and but she leaves a note saying, on this guy, he's like passed out or something like that. Dr. Harley says, I need my meds. So, like, one of the things I love about her is that all these things are part of who she is. And what's really great about this writer is that they are really allowing every aspect of Harley Quinn to shine in that way. Stephanie Phillips is the writer. Laura Braga is the artist. Arif Prinito does the colors. N-World Design does the lettering. Riley Rosmo does the cover. And then you have all the different Harley Quinn variant covers, but we have the A cover here because I love it. But the art is a little bit different because the art is not done by the in the inside of the book is not done by the normal artist. So the really cool narrative that Harley is talking about right now is talking about she starts out and she says, I don't hate cats, but I've never been comfortable around them either. And so she's talking about the psychology of how a cat operates with independence and affection as well, and trust. And this is a theme throughout the whole issue because she's sitting there, and the reason she's in Alleytown, because she's in Alleytown, is she is looking for information about what has been implanted medication-wise into the Hugo Strange clowns, which Kevin is one of them, and she likes Kevin, and Kevin, she's trying to help the clowns that are trying to reform. And she compares cats to her Jewish mother. So she ends up in she's getting chased. She ends up in an alley, and she's Harley Quinn. So she's, the reason why she's getting chased and she's stuck in an alley is because she has peacekeepers that are trying to tell her that there is a curfew. And she didn't care about a curfew. Even if she did care, she didn't know. And she's talking about how she prefers dogs, well, hyenas. And she's sitting there, and she's got her baseball bat, and she's ready to go out swinging with this group of, it looks like 4 peacekeepers. But then who swoops in but Catwoman, Selena Kyle, to help her. So she lets Catwoman is sitting there, and Catwoman is fighting, and Harley is just sitting there like in awe of her. She's just like, oh my god, she's like taking them all on. She's doing that move, and oh, I forgot about that move. I love that move. And she's like doing her thing, and she ends up getting saved by Catwoman. Um, Catwoman is like, "What are you doing here?" And she explains that she's tracking a shipment of drugs. She's, trying to do her thing, and she's like, "I'm trying to figure out what's in it." But then those soldier bots started yelling at me, and Kevin told me I shouldn't have come here alone. But oh, you haven't met it. She starts explaining who Kevin is, and she's just like, you could help me with this. I think you could really help me. And Selena's like very not into it. Um, but somehow Harley convinces her to be into it. And so the whole narrative involving getting a cat to trust them continues. Um, They get information. They find out information about the drugs. They find out where to find them. You get some information. You get a scene involving Scarecrow and Hugo Strange. They're interacting. You get Keepsake as well. Excuse me. And they're all, doing their thing. So then you have back to Harley and Catwoman, and they're trying to figure out what's the easiest way to just crash into everything. And Harley's like, you know what, I got this, and she just does it because she is still a little bit, she's still very spontaneous, and she's like, oh great. Catwoman, jumps in then after her in a much, excuse me, I have the hiccups, in a much better way. And they're taking care of all this stuff, and to be completely honest with you, it is mostly Catwoman because Harley's just saying, you're like, oh my god, she is so cool. Harley is in awe of Catwoman and how just, intricate and how easy she makes it seem, and she thinks she just looks so cool. And they find a van being loaded with some of these drugs, um and yeah, it's not working out too well because we have somebody, Lockwood, coming out, and he gets one of these like really potent capsules of, I think it's fear toxin, and just throws them at Selena. And the problem is if they had hit Selena, that'd be bad. They were really potent. They probably could have killed Selena Kyle. But who's there? Harley jumps in front of it all and stops. Um, and the toxin hits her instead of Selena. So basically, Harley Quinn saves Selena Kyle's life. Let's be real. Harley Quinn saves Selena Kyle's life, guys. Harley Quinn slaves. Harley Quinn saves Selena Kyle's life, basically. Yeah, Harley's not feeling too great. Um, so Catwoman is like, okay, wow, I've got you, and she takes her home. Not to Selena's home, guys. Selena takes Harley back to her apartment, and Harley finds out. She wakes up, and she finds out that Catwoman's hanging out. Got, made some coffee for her, um, and realizes that, she's helped her. And they have this conversation that really is why, probably one of the reasons I enjoyed this issue so much. So you have this narrative that's happening in Harley's brain. And she says, well, there's something to be said about having to earn the trust of another creature. Dogs are a given. They love you no matter what, but cats are naturally suspicious. You can try to bribe them with treats or catnip or one of those super expensive cat fortresses they sell at chain pet stores. But they still know you're a piece of shit. You have to earn a cat's trust. And so they start on this conversation they're having over coffee in Harley's apartment. Well, Selena explains to her, well, because of Batman, I had emergency poison antidote. He gave it to me. Harley explains, she's like, my tolerance for things like that was built up because of poison ivy. She did have a very, Selena explains to her that it was actually pretty dicey. Your heart rate jumped. And if not for your training and for that toxin antidote, it, like, just considering all those things, if it wasn't for you jumping in front of that toxin, that fear toxin, probably would have killed me. So she's actually thanking Harley for doing that. So Harley just actually comes right out and asks her, because back in the alley, she said that she says this, actually, I'll just quote it. What you said back in Alleytown, Selena, did you mean it about not being a hero? And Selena says, I tried it for a while, drawing that line between good and bad. But in the end, it didn't matter much what side of the line I was on. It was never enough to make up for the past. So then Harley, who has had a really, like, bumpy road to becoming who she is now, as villains go, Harley Quinn was very much a villain. Okay, she killed people. She did some bad shit, guys. I mean, I love Harley. Do not get me wrong. But Harley has done some really shitty shit. And she says something to Selena at that point that it's like, okay, so this is what she said. She says, but it's not about the past. It's about the future and trying to make it a little better for the people I want in that future with me. And it's about me, about how I feel about myself. She's basically sitting there and she's telling, this is the moment that really made this comic for me. And this is why I'm taking so much time to read this. It's about becoming the hero in your own story, becoming the leader, the leading lady, the leading man in your own story, finding your own path, being your own fucking superstar. Because if you don't, and you allow people to define you by your past or their perspective, or not perspective, their perception of you, it doesn't work. It's not you. You have to just do what you think is the best thing for the world around you and for yourself. You have to become the leading lady in your own movie, the leading man. You have to become the hero and superstar of your story. And that is very awesome, considering awesome concept, considering that if obviously I'm a fan of both Catwoman and Harley Quinn, and I've read Catwoman, especially the last number of months, and Catwoman is actually, like, kind of struggling with what path she's on, and Harley is somebody that knows that she wants to be on this path, and she's doing what she can to be on this path. And it's kind of like, I think I'm hoping that it kind of it kind of does something here, because Selena does have what it takes to be who she wants to be. And you know, I have this viewpoint, and I've talked about this on some social media discussions with people, where Harley, even though she is working with Batman, doing stuff with Batman, um, Harley is really paving out her own path involving becoming who she wants to be. There's still an element of Harley Quinn there. It's Harley Quinn, but in a different tone, you know. Um, she's carving out her own path involving who she wants to be. Okay, so she's been hanging around Batman. She's been working with Batman. She's been doing all of that. You see her frequently in Batman issues, doing stuff, working with the Bat family. She herself considers herself part of that Bat family. And so you have Harley taking her own path, though, because there is still Harley Quinn underneath all of that. And she still has her own perspective and her own viewpoints and how she handles situations that are unique to her and not to Batman. Um, and if Selena Kyle is trying to figure out how she becomes a hero in the Batman, you know, uh, perspective idea of heroism, of course, she's going to come up probably a little bit, short here. Because Batman is, can be a little bit, self-righteous at times. And not everyone gets the opportunity to rise to that level of self-righteousness. And obviously, Harley, Selena have not done that. They don't do that. And you have Harley on one end who's accepted that for herself, that she has to pave her own way. And then you have Catwoman on the other end that's struggling with it. Catwoman, let's talk about this here for a second. This is a woman that has gone and become the queen of Alleytown. Okay? She has an intricate group of people working with her that, if you're reading the Catwoman series, that at one point, pretty early in the reboot of the Infinite Frontier era here with DC, pulled off one of the best, incredible heists that you could think of in comic books, and in turn saved someone kind of important, to Harley. So Selena is still struggling with this idea of the idea of being a hero. Harley, she goes to leave. Selena goes to leave, and Harley's like, "Look, I probably owe you a lot of apologies, and I probably, this is just the start, and that kind of thing." And she's just like, maybe we can even team up again sometime. Because Harley just thinks that Selena is just so cool. And it ends, where we have her narration. She's like, maybe having to work for their trust isn't such a bad thing. Sure, it takes more effort than giving Fido a pat on the head once in a while. But when a cat does trust you, you know you've earned it. Which is so true. When a cat trusts you, you know you've earned it. And that's, she sits there and she's talking to the Ivy plant, because she talks to Ivy through the plant. And she's like, she's so cool, but don't worry, Red. I've only got eyes for you. Kind of thing. It's really quite sweet. And I love what's happening with this character of Harley Quinn. in the way it's being written currently. And yeah, so that's about it. Please, this has been the officially unofficial Geek Weekly Comic Roundup Comic Spotlight on Harley Quinn number 6. Really awesome. Thank you guys for watching and listening. And please do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you thought of Harley Quinn number 6. And yeah, please take care of yourself, stay healthy, get vaccinated, do all those crazy, wonderful things involving your health, and keep reading comic books, because that's why we're here. Visit your local LCS for more information, and I'll be seeing you guys. Bye!